Just sit back and take this in as I share with you my #1 tip for getting clients for free in this crazy world, this 2021 pandemonium. Is pandemonium a searchable word on YouTube? I hope it comes up first for this video. What I wanted to share with you today is a concept that I think is going to bring you down to earth. As a martial artist, one of the things I've learned is that sometimes the things that are the most draining also give you the most energy, which is very counterintuitive. If you work out in the morning, you are drained going into the gym and you're energized leaving the gym. And sometimes the drain before you go into the gym prevents you from getting the boost that you would have gotten had you gone there and gotten the endorphins. And that is, kind of where I started to develop this idea behind just getting started quickly with your business. How do you do it for free? How do you get yourself out there? How do you get people to know about what you're doing and make an impact and start making some money? Well, I call this framework 100 meaningful conversations. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically it means that in the beginning, you as the service provider, you as the person in your business has come up with this idea and you have something that you want to sell. What I've learned that's the simplest way is just to begin having conversations with people about what's important to them and what's important to you. Again, it sounds simple, but it's not easy. What do I mean? Well, with 100 meaningful conversations, you make it your goal to have 100 conversations with people about what's going on with their life, where you might be able to help, and what it is that you're working on. And what I would even encourage you to do is I would encourage you to even track this. So let's say that you're with family, you're with friends. Let's say that you're out at an event, or you're waiting in a line, or you're at some sort of networking, or you're even online in some sort of like Zoom setting, or you're, talking to people on social media. These are all forms of interaction with other humans. And what I would like you to do is I would like you to take it past the surface level of, hi, how you doing? How's the weather? And I want you to get to know people at least as much as you can in their short time that they get to interact with you. And I want you to go into this philosophy, go into this framework with the idea that I'm going to have a meaningful conversation with 100 people and have no attachment to the outcome. And here's what a meaningful conversation would be. It would be you getting to know them. You getting to know a little bit about their story, a little bit about what they're working on, and a little bit about what their frustrations are. And in the beginning, as someone who's new to putting yourself out there, maybe, especially if you're an introvert, this might seem extremely painful. And I admit that it can be a little bit challenging at first to get to know people because you're afraid about how they might react, or you don't think that they're going to be receptive to you. But there's one thing I can guarantee you, and it's that people love talking about themselves. And the best conversationalists are often the ones that just listen the most. I mean, really, it could be as simple as this, is you saying, so what do you like to do? And they say, well, I really like playing badminton. And you're thinking in your head, I don't give a shit about badminton. Or I don't know anything about badminton. But that's probably just because you don't have any frame of reference. So here's what you say. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. And just let them talk. And then they'll probably start coming up with things that you didn't know that are relatable to you, that are interesting to you. And then you just keep asking questions. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. How did that happen? When did you start doing that? And just the things that naturally interest you. Keep it light, keep it flowing. And then you might even say, what are you working on right now? What are some of the things that are worrying you? What are some of the things that are bothering you? You don't have to do it in a creepy way. You don't have to try to get overly invasive, and obviously shape the questions to where the conversation is going, but genuinely get to a point where you're feeling like you're having a meaningful interaction with them and they're getting to spill a bit. And honestly, it doesn't take more than a few tell me more about that to get people to really tell you what's going on with them. Sometimes you're like, okay, tell me less about that. It's like, don't tell me anything about that. But you might also find that when you're talking to people, they might say, yeah, well, I actually am working on building the business right now. And they might say things that they're struggling with, things that they're working on. And that's when you have the opportunity to share yourself. Now, remember, you're purposely asking them about themselves first. And honestly, if this is a timetable that we're looking at, a pie chart, 80-20 them. 80-20 them. Let them talk about themselves. But you should then have your little pitch prepared. This is what I'm working on. This is my website. This is what's interesting to me. And just share. And if there's cross, pollination, it'll be pretty obvious. A lot of times projects come from this. Or often you'll just exchange contact information for a later meetup, a later reconciliation. And this is great because you're going to build your network over time. And when I say 100 meaningful conversations, I mean really track it. And if you're really being good about this, you might even get a journal and you might start to write down, here's a conversation I had today, here's what they shared, here's what I shared, here's the outcome. This doesn't sound like it's related to business, but this is a soft skill, and soft skills are often neglected in business. I had someone who texted me not too long ago, and the text was very simple. They said, I need a coach. People who work with me and people who follow my work know that I do business coaching, but I thought it was so interesting that I hadn't ever reached out to this person before, and yet they were texting me and saying, I need a coach, because they got my reference from someone else, they got my number, and it was pretty easy for them to hit me up. But I thought it's only because of all these meaningful conversations I've had over the years where I've shared what my skill sets are, where I've shared my expertise, I've had conversations where I'm letting people, spill to me and unload on me and sharing some wisdom when I have it, that people trust me enough to want to work with me. And that's all a soft skill. It's not part of a master plan or a conversion funnel I have going. It's not something I can necessarily track, outside of my daily accounting of it. But it adds up over time. And if you do track this and you have 100 meaningful conversations, I guarantee you that there will be both a primary and a secondary outcome from this. You will, from 100 conversations, find 1 or 2 or 10 people, especially if you're specifically having conversations with people, those who are more likely to be in your avatar, it'll get more likely. But even if you're talking to general population, just everyone you come into contact with, and having a short but meaningful conversation with them, you will find customers. As long as you're sharing what it is you're doing, you will find people. You'll connect with them. And if they don't book with you for whatever you're doing now, they will come back to you. And that's the value of networking. It's the value of establishing relationships over a period of a career. And you start that with just 100 meaningful conversations. Take the approach of getting to know people, getting to know their needs, getting to know their wants, getting to know their pains, their frustrations, their desires, their dreams for themselves, and then get into the habit of sharing yourself with others, and you'll start to see this real social capital build up that'll make it more about who you are than about what you provide. And when the combination of you being a great person and your service being great come together, you're going to get clients on demand. That is the number one way that you're going to be able to get people for free. When you find people who know your reputation and you've honed your skill set, you won't need to do as much effort to create the same results. But you start that from a dead stop by having these conversations. Now, as I've talked about in my other videos, it can be a barrier in the beginning to have this conversation with others. And the only way you get over that is with practice. You can practice by yourself. You can practice in the field. You can practice with things like stand-up comedy and improv and acting classes. And maybe even music is a great way to practice this stuff. But practice getting yourself out there. And if you want more tips on this stuff, you should be watching more videos like this on Foundr. And you should be actually checking out my free masterclass, because I go over this stuff in depth. Things that I can't really talk about on YouTube because the videos get too long and I got to cut this stuff up. So if you want to know my detailed strategy for coming up with things to talk about and how to have these conversations and how to build out this network in a natural way, which is the real crux of a service-based business, then check out the free masterclass with Foundr. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Hey guys, hope you're loving our videos and that you're getting heaps of value from them. If you are, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to join the Foundr fam. If you did enjoy this video and want to continue to master your skills, make sure you click here to access your free training now, where we'll go into way more depth with this founder.